It's me, Morning Monkey. Got my hot cup of joe. Oh, what's this? A new blog. Well, my goodness, Mokha changes, I'm sure. There's nothing in here that's a steaming... Okay, let's see. Okay. We shared our initial reward pitches for Varlamore, the Final Dawn's quest, Delve Boss, and Slayer Dungeon rewards. In today's update, we're addressing some of your feedback. All right, let's go. We cooked, I think, with the last couple videos, so we had some good ideas to send. I'm sure they took the best ones, right? All right, let's take a look. Aeric Treads. Okay, these are the boots. The Aeric Treads made with the new Aeric Catalyst consumable. We understand that feeling the need to obtain multiple different items to combine into one seems like a lot, and we hear your concerns about complex upgrade trees and linearity in progression. This point is generally valid, but this high-level boss is aimed at players who are likely to have the required boots already, and so will only see the benefit of not having to lug 3 pairs of shoes around. We also feel that upgrades are an important part of old school, since we always want older content to feel relevant. With that in mind, we're keeping the Treads upgrade path alone. All right, fair enough, kind of base take. Personally, I really would have liked to see them just maybe take only the Serb crystals instead of the boots. I don't know why we're keeping things like Infinity boots and Ranger boots relevant, but like, it's not a big deal. I didn't have a big issue with the boots at all. I just kind of wanted to see them not make random things relevant for PVM anymore, but this is fine. Okay, fair enough. All right, the cape. All right, this was the big stink. Here we go. We've heard your feedback and decided to make the veil untradeable. God. You know, it's not the end of the world. That's okay. I wanted to see it tradable. I think one lost unique off the tradables for Mokha is really sad because it's going to lose a lot of profitability, but let's look into what they actually did here. We've been having a lot of conversations about player expectations and consistency. The Eldritch Veil was never intended to be an Inferno or Magic Cape. We'd argue that the Aeric Treads are the standout unlock from the boss. The Eldritch Veil was intended to be a minor upgrade. I was kind of wondering if they were thinking of doing a Mage Inferno in the future and we're just making this a small upgrade. It kind of felt like that. A stopgap between the Imbued God Capes and your eventual Magic Cape. Since the Doom isn't like the Inferno or the Mage Arena with a defined end goal and accompanying reward, we felt it was important to have tradable uniques that are more obtainable at higher levels, so there's a real economic incentive for skilled players to push themselves. That was the whole point I made in the last video. If you caught that, keeping tradables is really important for a boss designed this way. Okay, but they decided not to. We use the term consistency a lot, but also want to avoid designing ourselves into a corner by inventing specific unmoving rules. Like every cape upgrade must come from a wave-based minigame, or every raid should drop uniques that are particularly useful in that raid. I agree with that. Like, there's no set in stone rule that has to be the way it is. In this instance, we're willing to set that aside and make the veil untradeable. We very much so like to hear your thoughts on the broader topics of untradable uniques, consistency, and how we can more clearly set expectations without giving everything away. No reason. No reason whatsoever. We're willing to set that aside. It's just like, okay, Reddit. You got us. All right. You guys are loud and clear. All right. We don't want to, but you guys make the rules. Untradable it is. All right. Back it up. All right. Untradable. What is the... They give no reason for why they're just doing this. They're just basically like, yep, we're doing what Reddit wants. On that last note, it can be tricky for us to explain where combat encounters like this sit in terms of progression. We previously mentioned that Osto is an endgame boss aimed at players at or above combat level 120, preferably with their own Inferno Cape. However, this isn't the Inferno, and we don't intend the Eldritch Veil to replace the Inferno Cape. So they give like 5 reasons for why they wanted to keep it tradable, but they're just like, it's gonna be untradable now. Yeah, that's what you guys said, so. Okay. With all that in mind, here's what we're changing. Okay, they're making some changes. It'll be an untradable item. We're boosting the prayer stat to +1. All right, that makes sense. It was stupid that it was a -2. We are re-examining the defense stats. I don't know why you can't just make it the same as the MA2 cape, but okay. We're going to make it a guaranteed drop at Delve level 8. Exactly what I was worried about. This means we're removing the demonic mark altogether and any attachment to the existing god capes. The veil will drop as a standalone item. Since this is an endgame level boss, we still expect the imbued god cape to form an important part of your progression. Okay, so you don't need to attach it anymore. You can skip the MA2 capes. I'm down for that. I like that. That's what I was hoping for. Interesting that they're going with that when they're talking about the prestige of the thing, and people were talking about how they liked that you had to go in the wildy to get these capes, and it adds to the prestige. So this like removes that. Okay, so the one of the big reasons people wanted it untradable was that you also had to have the MA2 cape. So there was some. So it really doesn't have that prestige anymore, at least less so. We're adding a flat minimum hit of 2 as a passive effect. That means that any successful accuracy roll would then roll between 2 and your max hit for damage. This doesn't interact with 2 mech and shadows or multiplier effects, so it's a significant boost for fast rating weapons like the tridents or the saying staff. There's a pretty smart change to make it not super good for shadow. I actually looked into it. It's not really that good for Shadow? Shadow doesn't even get a max hit in Toa. It gets max hits in Chambers and max hits outside of raids, but nothing in Toa, which is where you would think it would. Interesting. So it's kind of weak. But 2 minimum hit means that like they said, the faster hitting weapons get buffed more, which is kind of a good way of doing it. Makes sense to me. I don't mind this. Effectively, it's +1 max hit, but +1 max hit on faster weapons matters more. Okay, I really don't like them making this untradeable. This really just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand. I get a lot of people wanted it, but also they just gave no reasoning for why they went with that. Well, we had this big reason for keeping it tradable, but yeah, you're right, guys. Okay. The Aegis, our goal with the Aegis was to include a niche reward. I said niche and not niche. Unlucky. That is particularly useful against a boss that drops it. Since Osto is a demonic creature, a Demon Bane effect was the obvious choice. We're aware that we've had a few Demon Bane weapons enter the game lately, and that some of you feel they don't have a lot of use case right now. This isn't the first time this has happened. Some of you will remember similar feedback levied at the Venator Bow. In time, we think that Demon Bane, Demon Ward, and a Diabolical Aegis will find their place too. I looked at this, it was really fun. It's slightly better than Emberlight, usually across the board, and it also has 25% damage reduction. Basically, it's an upgrade over Emberlight most of the time. So I think this fit okay into the game. I'm okay with this the way it is. We are, however, bringing the attack requirement down to 70 and make it feel a bit more in line. I don't care about requirements, so that works. Okay. I really like this change. I'm preparing mentally to read it. Here we go. You can do this. You can do this, Gnomonkey. Thrall upgrade. Following your feedback, we're not moving forward with the Thrall upgrade. We're not doing it. What do you mean? What do you mean you're not doing it? What do you mean you're not doing it? You're not doing it? Instead, we're working on a new self-contained reward that will change or enhance your experience within the fight itself. What? Who suggested this one? Oh, I had the whole like, hey guys, let's come up with an idea that works. And I had hundreds of comments that are like, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this. And then I had a follow-up video that was like going through it. And we were like, okay, let's pick out the best ones. And like, you know what? Nah, let's just not do it. Are you serious? The whole long-term profit of this encounter is now gone. Are you serious? It's a buff with... This is gonna... What? The whole thing that was gonna make you money over the period that you're doing this boss is the currency from pushing high levels. Are you serious? You're getting rid of it. Ironmen have no reason to come back here. Mains have no reason to come back here. You just do it to wave 8. So they've turned it into Inferno 3 because Reddit wanted that or thought it was that. What? Hello? This boggles the mind, dude. All right, I'll read the last one. We did see a lot of you clamoring for a reward relating to the Book of the Dead, and we want to reassure you all that the current storyline will continue in the future. When it does, you'll get your Book of the Dead developments. Since it's so intimate, dude, this is so like passive aggressive. It's like, you get your stupid Book of the Dead changes later, dude. I didn't really want to do any of this, but Reddit made me do it, and I just, oh man. All right, you'll see it in a new quest or something. I don't know. It's so intimately linked to the current storyline, it's important to us that future upgrades come from that source. This is one of the, I think, worst changes I've ever heard, like, pre-update. Like, this is crazy. I would say the whole content hinged on a powerful currency being dropped that is consumable. That is so important for long-term profit and a reason for other accounts to come here. Like, long-term grind the content. The Irons were going to come here to get a lot of this Thrall currency. It makes you think, like, this was like, oh, that's genius. I like that. It's like, all right, this makes sense. And then they just ditch it. It's like, what are they thinking? What are they thinking? I don't understand. I don't think I saw a single... I don't know. I read through hundreds and hundreds of comments. I don't think I saw a single one that was like, bro, just get rid of the currency and, like, make it work in the fight only. I don't think anybody said that. That's crazy. I'm really bummed. I'm really bummed. I think this is actually going to gut the content. I think they have disemboweled Mokha at this point. With both dropping the cape as a tradable drop and the currency. As there's not going to be profit here or long-term reason to come here. It is going to be go to Cave 8 and just grind the content until you get those boots and then leave. What a shame. I'm really hoping they reconsider this. I was looking on Reddit briefly. I have it up here. They were saying really similar. I think this needs to be pushed back another week to come up with some more rewards for the boss, because currently this is a boss where there's only one unique that scales with delve level and otherwise gives flat loot. Yeah, I mean, regardless of your stance on, like, if the cape should be tradable or not, like, this is not what anyone wanted. This is the worst of both worlds, man. I think everybody is unhappy with this. Like, I don't know. If they're trying to make the untradable cape crowd happy, surely you just keep the currency and make it break down into that. right? That's like so obvious. Like just make it the same as a quiver. If it has to be untradeable, which I don't think it does. If it does have to be untradeable, like at least make it break down the currency. Absolutely wild. Okay, we'll keep reading the post. That's what a shame. What a shame. Actually, what a shame. Final Dawn quest. First up, let's dig into conversation around the new melee weapon. We'll be the first to admit that it's really tricky to talk about this one without giving the game away, since it's so closely tied to the quest story. We hear your request for a nice stab weapon, and we're open to working on that in the future. However, knowing what this particular weapon is, it's really only going to work as a slash weapon. On that same point, things are getting heated around the number of burn effect weapons we released last year. We've really leaned into Varlamore's sunny climbs, but as we bring this arc to a close, we plan to bring more varied effects to the game. We're also looking to remove the AoE portion of the special attack. It was never the main use case. Some of you pointed out that there aren't a huge number of places where this weapon's target audience will be using melee in a multi-combat area. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. This is kind of a D-skim competitor and just like a decent mid-game or just like earlier spec that you get. So yeah, that makes sense. We're reducing the spec cost, which might make this little beauty shine a bit brighter. I think this spec will actually be quite nice early. Until you get something like Burning Claws, this is pretty solid. It's going to be like DDS is good some places and this is good some places. I like it. I think that's solid. Slayer Dungeon, some of you gluttons for punishment felt that the Slayer level for the Elder Stalkers felt a little bit low. Our response is that these creatures were purposely designed to pad out lower progression levels. Pushing the requirement higher wouldn't just contradict our initial design, it would mean changing the entire reward pitch, as the Antler Guard would have to compete against other rewards. People were saying that the Slayer level was too high, really, or too low. I'm surprised people were complaining about that. I thought it felt fair. I think the high level ones were 70, right? Something like that. It was like between 50 to 70. There was a lot of worry about negative defense and comparisons to the Dragon Defender. That's good because we deliberately designed this item to sit below the Dragon Defender. We intend for the Antler Guard to keep you going until you get the Dragon Defender, and it'll be particularly useful for players using RCB or the Hunter Crossbow, or those of you chilling out with the Proselyte on a Slayer task. Yeah, I mean, if it's like you lose a couple max hits and you get +5 prayer, I mean, fair enough. That's not the use case I was thinking of. I was thinking of it more as the ranged offhand for things like Zebak and that kind of thing. But yeah, that's true. So an extra prayer bonus, okay. And we're reducing the negative defense values. Okay. I honestly felt the Antler Guard was going to get use. I've been playing the hardcore where at like just dipping into moons, so that's where the progression is. I was gonna find use for this, so I think it was okay as it was, but little buff here, sure, fine. There's a lot of meh, and there's a lot of wow. That's crazy. I'm baffled by this thrall change. I'm curious who was asking for this, or who's the idea to just like give up on it and just stop trying. If you want to give up on the thrall upgrade and stop trying, just make it hit 1 to 3. Right? That's all you got to do. That's a thrall upgrade. Bam. If you don't want it to be crazy and interesting, just make it do more damage, right? Like that works. We had a bunch of ideas that potentially could work, maybe giving thralls different like effects and making them like typeless so it would work. I think you should try harder, Jagex. I think you should. I really do. I think you shouldn't give up this easily. And I don't think you should curb to Reddit when you have an idea for a unique piece of content just because they haven't seen it yet. Honestly, I'm a little bummed. Jagex, have some confidence in what you're doing here. You had a cool idea. You've got an enraged boss where it's test your metal, push yourself, see how far you can go and get rewarded for it. And then you remove half the rewards. You remove any incentive to push the enraged levels whatsoever. Don't just curb to feedback like this. Like bump up the collar, Like, come on, just Jagex, I believed in you. Don't gut it. Don't gut Mokha. You don't have to gut Mokha. You had a cool thing going. Just some minor tweaks was all that was needed. Not gutting half the rewards. What a shame. This is not what high-level players want. It's not what mid-level players want. It's not what low-level players want. It's not what players want. It's not what anybody wants. Jagex, have confidence in what you're doing. You were setting off on the right path, and then you deviated. This is going to be dead on release. You will go there to get your new cape, and then you'll leave. And you'll leave. This isn't holding up to even Coliseum standards, which had a lot of issues. We can do better. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of settle down comments, relax, buddy. This was my most hyped update. I was really excited for it, and now I'm kind of bummed, and that's kind of sad. That's all. Leave a like if you liked it, and or subscribe, and more feedback in the comments, I guess. Hopefully they're willing to walk some of this back. Later. Bye.